inside of me, and storm and worry through till you let me spend my life making day and night and day.
Welcome everybody. Welcome everybody to our 10th version of Vashon Readers Theatre. We're here at the Black Cat Cabaret on beautiful Vashon Island. Actually, I am sitting in the front of the house today because we've got a lot of equipment going on here in the actual Black Cat Cabaret because we do shows here on Thursdays through Sundays. That's Vashon Live, which I'll tell you a little bit about in a second. But here I am sitting here on beautiful Vashon Island during this pandemic, and guess what? We have not skipped a beat. We have been able to put on shows either live on our stage here or via Zoom here. And thank you all for joining us. Here we are. I've got some great actors about to perform some monologues for you. But before we do that, I wanted to just say on behalf of here at the the Snapdragon Cabaret, myself, Megan Hastings, everybody here, thank you for joining us. I just wanted to thank Megan and Adam for sure, because here we have a venue, a stage where they let us do whatever we want to do. We can do plays, we can do rock and roll. There was a punk show here a couple weeks ago. Anything that we want to do on this Black Cat Cabaret stage, we're able to do it. It's the only venue on the island where we can do whatever we want, whenever we want. So thank you from the bottom of my heart to Megan and Adam here at Snapdragon. I want to give out a little bit of a shout out to some performers who have influenced me throughout this time here where we're home alone. There's somebody by the name of Rebecca Kuzma who puts on a show every single day on her Facebook. It's called One Song a Day COVID Covers. Check out Rebecca Kuzma. She is so inspiring and so beautiful. She sings a song and it really gets your day started. It happens earlier in the day, but if you go to her Facebook page, Rebecca Kuzma, she's there. I'm sure you can see all of her shows that she has performed over the last few weeks, months now. I also wanted to shout out to Gus Reeves. I watch him every Sunday and Wednesday at 5 o'clock. Gus Reeves is phenomenal. He is a one-man band. He sings, he tells stories, he tells bad dad jokes. Every Sunday and Monday, 5 o'clock on his Facebook, Gus Reeves. There you go. Also, I wanted to thank Vashon Live. Vashon Live has promoted our plays here, but they've been doing storytelling and music and bands right here on our stage, and they've been performing Thursdays through Sundays. There's a different show every Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday night. I urge you to check out Vashon Live. Sarah, everybody that's working with Vashon Live, they are amazing. And by the way, they have been raising funds for various different island organizations, and they forget to actually say, hey, throw us a little bit of money here and there. So their Venmo is Vashon Live. They're also Vashon Dash Live, and they're also on PayPal at Vashon Live. So if you want to throw them $1 here or there, or $5 here or there, please, please do. And also, I wanted to thank Pete and Allison with Vashon Events. They are just doing great. They are promoting everything on this island, from somebody doing a show in a living room to here to everything. So Vashon Events, please look at them, watch, go to their Facebook, go to their page, vashonevents.com or org. Oh well. But please do look at them and throw them a little bit of cash too. I'm not going to hit you up for cash tonight for this show. As I said, we do stage readings here. We've done classics. A couple of months ago, we did Sam Shepard. Last month, we did an old Chekhov play. Anything that we can get our hands on that people want to see live, and we fill up the auditorium in here. It is so much fun. I couldn't stop doing this. So this month, I thought I would do something a little bit different. I thought that this month I would ask my favorite actors on the island to do some of their favorite monologues. And they came back with some beauties. There are some great ones tonight. This is a short program tonight. Each monologue is only about 5 minutes long, sometimes less. So you'll be able to get out and have your dinner, all that. But these monologues tonight, it's a cross-pollination of a whole bunch of monologues, and they're just fantastic. So what I'm going to do, the way it's going to work tonight is I'm going to let them do their monologues. I'm going to introduce each monologue as they come along. The actors are standing by. They've got you can see the actors right here. I can see them all. And what we'll do is I'll introduce the actors. Everybody that has just joined us, audience, thank you. If you make sure to put yourselves on mute. And if you would be so kind as to turn your camera off, you'll still be able to see us. Turn your camera off and make sure that you are muted. I expect glitches tonight. Okay. I have to introduce this first actor because she is a darling of mine. Lucy Rogers is not only a student of mine, but she was a spectacular performer as the lead in the show that I directed last fall called She Kills Monsters. She moves me, she inspires me to be a better director and a teacher, and I am in love with Lucy Rogers. And Lucy tonight is going to she's currently a student at Vashon High School, by the way, and she says she's an aspiring actor. She's not aspiring, she's an actor. So most recently, though, you may have seen her, as I said, in She Kills Monsters with Drama Doc here at the O Space. Before that, she was in the musical The Who's Tommy. She played Sally Simpson in that. And she was also a stepsister in Cinderella. What she's going to do, she's going to do a short monologue tonight from an old play that I love called Agnes of God. And Agnes of God is it's a play about a young nun who miraculously delivers a baby and insists it was an immaculate conception. But here, Agnes has a meeting with her therapist to explain herself and to find out whether she is fit for trial because they think that she may have killed her young baby. Well, her baby. So without further ado, I would like to introduce, ladies and gentlemen, Lucy Rogers as Agnes in Agnes of God.
Where do babies come from? Well, I think they come when an angel lights on their mother's chest and whispers into her ear. That makes good babies start to grow. Bad babies come when a fallen angel squeezes in down there. I don't know where good babies come out. And you can't tell the difference, except bad babies cry a lot and make their fathers go away, and their mothers get very ill and die sometimes. Mummy wasn't very happy when she died. And I think she went to hell, because every time I see her, she looks like she just stepped out of a hot shower. And I'm never sure if it's her or the lady who tells me things. They fight over me all the time. The lady I saw when I was 10. I was lying on the grass, looking at the sun, and the sun became a cloud, and the cloud became the lady. And she told me she would talk to me, and then her feet began to bleed, and I saw there were holes in her hands and in her side, and I tried to catch the blood as it fell from the sky, but I couldn't see anymore because my eyes hurt. There were big black spots in front of them. And she tells me things like, right now she's crying, Marie, Marie. But I don't know what she means. And she uses me to sing. It's as if she's throwing a big hook under my ribs and tries to pull up, but I can't move because Mummy is holding my feet. And all I can do is sing in her voice. It's the lady's voice. God loves you. God loves you. I don't eat because I am commanded by God. I'm getting fat. There's too much flesh on me. I have to be attractive to God. He hates fat people. It's a sin to be fat. Look at all the statues. They're thin. That's because they're suffering. Suffering is beautiful. Christ said it in the Bible. He said, "Suffer the little children, for of such is the kingdom of heaven." I want to suffer like a little child. I am a little child, but my body keeps getting bigger. I don't want it to get bigger because then I won't be able to fit in. I won't be able to squeeze into heaven. I'm too fat. Look at this. I'm a blimp. God blew up the Hindenburg. He'll blow up me. That's what Mummy said. But if I stay little, it won't happen. She says God presents us to our mothers in bundles of 8 pounds, 6 ounces. I have to be 8 pounds again. I'm being punished. I don't know why. It started this morning. Why me? Why me? Thank you.
Thank you, Lucy. Thank you. Thank you very much. Doing a monologue is either very terrifying for an actor or very thrilling for an actor. Either way, I hope everybody appreciates that these actors tonight are throwing their souls onto the screen in a different medium. So thank you so much, Lucy. I know that was a new thing for you to do. So wonderful, wonderful. Okay, next up we have Michael Barker. Michael Barker acted professionally for a lifetime in LA, shifted to directing later on, and he's done a number of shows right here on Vashon Island, including he directed Becky's New Car and 1/4 of Dragon Country, which was phenomenal at O-Space a couple of years ago. It was a bunch of Tennessee Williams plays, beautiful production. In 2013, he created the Plays the Thing at the Open Space, which reads plays aloud on a monthly basis for some years. Sounds familiar. Anyway, tonight he's going to do a little bit of Shakespeare for you guys. The Tempest, Shakespeare's Gonzalo's monologue to his king and companions. It's about a vision of life and anarchy-like natural utopia that he hopes will evolve after being shipwrecked. Michael finds Gonzalo's worldview in this election year to be oddly appropriate, especially with all of humanity being shipwrecked due to COVID. So without further ado, ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Michael Barker.
Had I a plantation of this isle, my lord, and were the king on it, what would I do? Well, in the Commonwealth, I would by contraries execute all things. For no kind of traffic would I admit. No name of magistrate. Letters, they should not be known. Riches, poverty, and use of service, none. Contract, succession, born, bound of land, tilth, vineyard, none. Ha! No use of metal, corn, or wine, or oil. No occupation. All men idle. All. And women, too. But innocent and pure. No poverty. All things in common nature should produce without sweat or endeavor. Treason, felony, sword, pike, knife, gun, or need of any engine would I not have. But nature should bring forth of its own kind, all poison, all abundance to feed. My innocent people. Thank you.
Thank you, Michael. Thank you so much. There's a little bit of Shakespeare for you guys. Wonderful. I haven't seen that play in so long. I need to reread it. By the way, Michael is dialing in all the way from his home in Mexico tonight. Although he lives here on Vashon, he's in Mexico. Poor Michael. I just feel so bad for you. Oh, well. We can't wait for you to come back, Michael. We can't wait for you to come back. All right, this next performer is quite a little handful. He's in everything on this island, all through high school. He just is Mr. Gabriel Dawson. What can I say? If you've been to a show on Vashon Island, you've seen him. You've seen him acting. You've seen him tapping. You've seen him singing. You've just seen Gabriel Dawson. He's in almost everything. He's making his life out of being an actor, and I applaud Gabriel Dawson. He's graduating this year from Vashon High School, and he just got accepted to Pacific Lutheran University, PLU, to pursue his BFA in musical theater, of course. Some of his favorite roles on the island include Chip in the 25th annual Putnam County Spelling Bee. He was just Tommy in The Who's Tommy, and little Jackie Sparks in a 1940s radio Christmas Carol, which DramaDoc just did this past winter over here at the Vashon Center for the Arts. So without further ado, Mr. Gabriel Dawson. Equus. Sorry, let me just tell you the play that he's doing. Gabe is going to do a short monologue from Equus. It's written by Peter Schaffer. You've probably seen the movie. You're lucky enough to see the play. It's a beautiful play. It tells the story of a psychiatrist whose patient is a young man who has pathological religious fascination with horses. So his name is Alan Strang, and Gabriel will be playing Alan Strang, who blinds 6 horses one dark night. Ladies and gentlemen, Gabriel Dawson.
I'm talking about the beach. That time when I was a kid. What I told you about. I was pushed forward on the horse. There was sweat on my legs from his neck. The fellow held me tight and let me turn the horse which way I wanted. All that power, going any way you wanted. His sides were all warm and smell. And then suddenly I was on the ground where my dad pulled me. I could have bashed him. But something else. Well, when the horse first appeared, I looked up into its mouth. It was huge, and I looked up, and there's this chain on it. The fellow pulled on it, and when he pulled it, cream dripped out. I said, "Does it hurt?" And he said, the horse said desperately. It was always the same after that. Every time I heard one clop by, I had to run and see. Up a country lane or anywhere. They sort of fooled me. I couldn't take my eyes off of them. Just to watch their skins, the way their necks twist, and sweat shines in the folds. I can't remember when it started. Mom read me about prince who no one could rule except one boy, or the white horse in Revelations. He that sat upon him was called faithful and true. His eyes were as flames of fire, and he had a name written that no man knew but himself. Words like reins, stirrups, flanks, dashing his spurs against his charger's flanks. Even the words made me feel the way they give themselves to us. That was it too. They could stamp us into bits anytime they wanted, and they don't. They just trot on and let themselves be turned on a string all day. Absolutely humble. They give us all their breath, and we give them stripes for it. I couldn't help myself. I'd watch any horse. The way they turned, and their ribs grew wet just for our sakes. Years I never told anyone. Mom wouldn't understand. She likes equitation. Bowler hats and jodhpurs. My grandfather dressed for the horse, she said. What does that mean? The horse isn't dressed. It's the most naked thing you ever saw. More naked than a dog or a cat or anything. Even the most broken down old nag has got its life. To put a bowler on it is filthy. Putting them through their paces. Bloody horse shows. No one understands. Except cowboys. They do. I wish I was a cowboy. They're free. They just swing up and smiles of grass. Thank you.
Thank you, Gabe. I'm gonna miss you, dude. Gabe's also a student of mine, so Godspeed, sir. You're gonna do great. I love you, man. Speaking of students of mine, well, she's also one of my closest friends on this island. I adore Deidre. Deidre and I were just working on a play. We got the plug pulled on us. We were just working on Crimes of the Heart together. She was a lead in Crimes of the Heart. So Deidre Dakota has been on stage here on Vashon Island for 3 years, appearing in My Mother, Myself, The Odd Couple, where she played the main lead in The Odd Couple, the female version. And she has also appeared here, several Monday night versions of our theaters. So she was in our last play here that we did on Zoom. She was in Chekhov. We did The Boar. I adore Deidre. Everything that she does, I just worship it. Deidre, you are amazing. Here she's doing a play, a scene from a play, and this is a character named Mona. She leads a support group for parents who have lost their children. But here, Mona tells her story to you. Without further ado, ladies and gentlemen, Deidre Witt Dakota.
When my son, Ron, was hit by a car because of riding his skateboard into the street, no one else was to blame but me. I still blame myself. That never goes away. I was the one that told him yes when he asked me to get it for him. I was the one that helped him pick out which skateboard to get. I was the one who watched him ride down the block with it for the very first time. And I was the one who saw him get hit by that black Mazda. Not a day goes by when I don't ask myself, what if? What if I told him no? What if I chose a different skateboard? What if I told my son to stay out of the street? Something I didn't have the decency to do because I thought he knew better. Seeing him laying there with his head against the back wheel of that tire, staring up at me. His first words were, "I'm sorry, Mommy." Imagine. My son, Ronald, sorry for what I caused. My son apologizing to his horrible mother. Well, those images never leave me alone. I wrestle with them, try and pin them down and black them out, try and erase them, try and paint a different story, but I can't. Burned. Those images are burned forever in my mind. It's been 10 years. 10 years going on yesterday. But I'll tell you something. I promise you, I promise with all my heart and soul that there will come a day when you wake up in the morning and the heaviness in your chest comes loose and you find yourself breathing. It's like taking the first breath of life all over again. What you feel, it won't ever go away. That's a fact all of us live with. But you will breathe again. I don't know how and I don't know when, but you will. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Deidre.
Thank
Now,
you.
now everybody knows why I love you, baby. Jeez. That was tough. Catherine McNeil. I had the pleasure of meeting Catherine at a bar here recently, but I've never actually worked with her. But I've got to tell you, this is a special woman coming up. I worked with her the other day and I was stunned at how wonderful she is. And now let's find out why. Catherine McNeil, not only is she the owner of the Lavender Farms here, Lavender Hill Farms right here on Vashon Island in Burton, which I have been to, by the way, and it's fantastic. She's heading into her 15th Lavender U-Cut season. Her acting career includes theater, film, voiceover work, television credits, Woody Allen's Blue Jasmine. She's been on TV on CSI, Star Trek Voyager, Days of Our Lives. I used to watch that. And Doubt by John Patrick Stanley. But now she's doing a play by a playwright that's unknown to me and unknown to many of us. It's a playwright from Los Angeles. A Good Guy is by David Rambo. It deals with a teacher's reaction to an active shooter situation in her classroom. David's plays include God's Man in Texas, The Lady with All the Answers, which we're going to have a little bit of later, and stage adaptations of All About Eve, Sunset Boulevard, and the new book for the musical Paint Your Wagon. David is also a television writer whose credits include CSI, Empire, and the upcoming Tiny Pretty Thing. So without further ado, let's hear it for Catherine McNeil. Catherine, here you go. Stage is yours.
I love teaching. I never wanted to do anything else. My earliest memory is from when I'm about 2, maybe not quite, and I've got all my dolls and stuffed animals in front of me and I'm teaching them. I didn't even know what a teacher was, but that's what I was doing. It's not easy. 8th grade, I mean, it's really hard. The kids are still kids, but by now the girls know they're maturing faster than the boys and they lord it all over creation. And the boys, well, 2 things you have to remember about middle school boys. They don't want to be told what to do and they don't want to have feelings. And more, it seems they only want to play video games or smoke weed or talk about playing video games and smoking weed. You really have to fight for their attention, girls and boys both. But when you do get it, and you see them make a connection between what you're teaching now and something they learned before, and that light goes on, learning, well, that's everything. I mean, everything. When did I start keeping a gun in my classroom? About 2 years ago. I hoped it would be like when you hear it's supposed to rain, so you bring an umbrella and then it doesn't rain. I guess it rained anyway. It's a Glock 42, a lady gun, a mouse gun. When I came to school this morning, it was normal. 8th grade math, we're just beginning functions. And after the morning classes, I went down to the cafeteria for lunch. The kids were in their little groups, stuck to their phones, playing games, trying to sneak an embarrassing photo of a kid they hate. That's the thing, it was all ordinary. Nothing unusual the whole day. I couldn't remember anything when I came in here. Now I'm remembering too much. After lunch, I went back to my classroom. We were about 8 or 9 minutes into the class when we heard an explosion, like a bomb, across the courtyard. I froze, everyone froze. I heard shooting, lots of shooting across the courtyard, and screams, shots down by the library, rapid fire, like automatic weapon fire, short bursts and screams, kids screaming. My heart. I had to protect my kids. I realized some of the kids were crying, terrified, and I tried to get my kids to quiet down and focus. They were texting their parents and calling them to say, I love you, and the shooting started again. We all thought we were going to die. I told the kids, take cover and turn off their phones. I didn't want a phone to give away where a kid might be hiding. We did what we do in the drills. I got as many as could fit in the supply closet and the rest piled desks against the door. Any barrier helps, and then they dragged the rest of the desks along the wall that runs along the door and hid down behind them. And then I unlocked the drawer where my purse was to get the clip, then the other drawer and the gun box. And the shooting's coming closer. And another bomb goes off. And then there's a silence. My heart was so heavy, struggling to keep beating. I kept telling myself to breathe. And just as I popped the clip in, next door I hear glass breaking and gunshots. And suddenly something comes over me, a kind of calm, like it wasn't me, but a spirit inside me pulling me over against the closet door, my back flat against it. My kids were so good. They didn't make a sound. I heard him try the doorknob and then shoot out the glass and the lock and kick it open. And he plowed in. It was so fast, and he turned toward the kids behind the desk, and I stepped out behind him and took a stance and raised my arm and aimed at the back of his head and shot him. And he fell, and I pointed the gun down and kept shooting his head, his back, the whole magazine. And not one of my kids got hurt.
Thank you. That was very hard to hear.
Yeah.
Thank you. All right. Jonathan Kuzma, man. This fellow also is making me a better teacher and a better director. I don't know why, but he's in everything that I do. He's in every play that I direct. He's in my acting class. He just doesn't go away. But Jonathan is raw, and he is beautiful, and he is so enjoying his newfound career in theater. He hasn't done very much, but God damn it, is he good. He wrote an intro here for me, and I'll read it for you. He's appeared on stage as Drosselmeyer in Vashon Center for the Arts Nutcracker, as well as in 1448. By the way, 1448 is a theater festival that we do here in Seattle and on Vashon. I drew his name out of a hat, not once, but twice over the weekend. He doesn't go away, I'm telling you. And he happens to be in the show Crimes of the Heart that's now postponed. So the last thing he says here is very funny. He says he studies acting under Chris Basha. That's me. Yes, he is an acting student of mine, and I love him dearly. He's going to do a short monologue that he did for us in acting class. I begged him to do this for us. It's Hamlet. Act 1, Scene 5, Hamlet, right after the prince has spoken with his father's ghost, having revealed all to Hamlet about his murderous uncle and his mother's treacherous marriage, the ghost appears. And the ghost appears saying, "Adieu, adieu, remember me." Ladies and gentlemen, Jonathan Kuzma.
Oh, all you host of heaven. Oh, earth. What else? And shall I couple hell? Oh, fie, hold my heart. And you, my sinews, grow not instant old, but bear me stiffly up. Remember thee? Aye, thou poor ghost, while memory holds a seat in this distracted globe. Remember thee? Yea, from the table of my memory, I'll wipe away all trivial fond records, all saws of books, all forms, all pressures past that youth and observation copied there. And thy commandment all alone shall live within the book and volume of my brain, unmixed with baser matter. Yes, by heaven. Oh, most pernicious woman. Oh, villain, villain, damned smiling villain. My tables. Meet it is I set it down. One can smile and smile and be a villain. At least I'm sure it may be so in Denmark. So, Uncle, there you are. And now, to my word, it is adieu, adieu. Remember me, I have sworn. So be it. Thank you.
Thank you, Jonathan. I mean, come on. Don't you want to put him in your play? I would. I do, actually. He's in everything. Thank you, Jonathan. Wonderful, wonderful job. I don't even know how to introduce this next performer. I mean, she's famous. She's Tammy Brockway Joyce. She's just, and she's part of Vashon. She's the fabric of Vashon. She's everywhere. She's gorgeous. She is not only a radio personality, but an actor in her own right. She's a clown. She's everything. She karaoke. She's a karaoke queen. She's amazing. I adore Tammy more than anybody. I think she knows it. I'll stop gushing right now. And now I'll read what she wrote. Tammy Brockway Joyce has a BA in theater from the University of Washington. Let's go, UW. You can find her playing Anne Filson sisters, half of the identical twin comic duo. You can't tell them apart, by the way. They walk down the street and you're like, who am I talking to? Which Filson sister are you? You really can't tell the difference. The famous Filson sisters, and on stage, she has performed at ACT, and she will be performing at ACT in the upcoming production of Vic, and in her film debut, which I believe you can see online. I believe you can. An accidental zombie named Ted. I watched it. It's a hoot. Totally fun. Lots of fun. All right. She and I got together and we didn't know what monologue she was going to do. So I just assigned her one. And I assigned her a play that I think if I were to ever direct this play, she would play the lead. If she would have me as a director. So she's doing a short monologue from 6 Degrees of Separation by John Blair. And she's playing Wisa. Wisa Kittredge is a cultured, stylish, wealthy, and well-connected New Yorker. She's a consummate hostess and mother of 2 teenage children. Her experience with Paul, who's an ex-con man who spent an evening with her and her husband and a friend, convincing them that he was the son of Sidney Poitier, was transformative and a sort of a spiritual awakening for her. By the way, this is a true story. It was all over the headlines in New York when I lived there. If you haven't seen or read this play or seen the movie, I urge you to. Ladies and gentlemen, Tammy Brockway Joyce as Wisa in 6 Degrees of Separation.
He wanted to be us, everything we are in this world, this paltry thing, our life, and he wanted it. He stabbed himself to get in here. And he envied us. We are not enough to be envied. Like the paper said, we have hearts, but having a heart is not the point. We were hardly taken in. We believed him for a few hours. He did more for us in a few hours than our children ever did. And he wanted to be your child. Don't let that go. He sat out in that park and he said, that man is my father. And he's in trouble now, and we don't know how to help him. And you were attracted to him, attracted by youth and his talent and the embarrassing prospect of being in the movie version of Cats. Did you put that in your Times piece? And we turn him into an anecdote to dine out on or dine in on, but it was an experience. And I will not turn him into an anecdote. How do we fit what happened to us into life without turning it into an anecdote with no teeth and a punchline you'll mouth over and over for years to come? Tell the story about the imposter who came into our lives. That reminds me of the time this boy. And we become these human jukeboxes spilling out these anecdotes. But it was an experience. And how do we keep the experience? There is color in my life, but I am not aware of any structure. I'm a collage of unaccounted for brush strokes. I am all random. God, Flan, how much of your life can you account for? There are times I would take a knife and dig out your heart. We're a terrible match. I read today that a young man committed suicide in Rikers Island prison. Tied a shirt around his neck and hanged himself. Was it the pink shirt? This burst of color? The pink shirt? Was it Paul? And who are you? We never found out who you are. Thank you.
Yeah, I think I want to direct that play, Tammy.
Me too.
I've always wanted to direct that play. It's such a good play. I'll have an audition slot for you whenever you're ready. All right, ladies and gentlemen, from one Vashon institution right to another, why not? Jean Doherty, I don't know what to say about Jean Doherty. So she's just so fucking reliable. You just ask Jean Doherty to do something for you, she always says yes, and she always delivers, and she always shows up with a hat where there never was a hat, and she always shows up with a pencil and a paper, and she looks at you as a director or as an audience member as if she's your best friend. And I am telling you, I am so much better of a man on this island because I have witnessed her on stage. She is a treasure. She is phenomenal. And now I'll read what she wrote. She's an actress. Of course she's an actress. She's a longtime Vashon resident. In a former life, she was a professional actress in Los Angeles. And her monologue today comes from The Lady with the Answers, which we heard from David Rambo earlier in the evening. And this play is a short monologue. It's drawn from the life and letters of Ann Landers, the advice columnist that you might know. It was performed at the Cherry Lane Theatre in New York City and at the Pasadena Playhouse in Pasadena, California. So without further ado, ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Jean Doherty.
Let's freshen the air, shall we? Have you ever known a woman not to love Chanel number 5? Oh, not quite as nice as a long bubble bath, but it's close. I wore this every day I was in Vietnam, visiting the field hospitals. I hated that war, just hated it. I mean, look, I'm a red-blooded, flag-waving American, born on the 4th of July, literally. My toddler daughter and I proudly sent my husband off to war. But Vietnam? We lost the bloom of our youth in that war. 55,000 dead. 55,000. Yeah, I never was able to do anything with Lyndon Johnson. I mean, don't get me wrong. He was really very reasonable, very easy to talk to. And he was a surprisingly sexy man that you couldn't tell from the pictures. But whenever I would tell him, you ought to get us out of this war, and I did every chance I got, he'd just look at me like one of those sad-eyed hound dogs of his with the floppy ears, and he'd say, I know, Epi, I know, but how do I do it? How do you do it? Call it quits. Get the hell out of there. But he couldn't do that. I was so frustrated, so saddened by the losses. Well, I just had to go see for myself, actually go to Vietnam. Everyone said, don't go, it's not safe. Well, I've been to Soviet Union and Red China, and I got out of there alive. Besides, Vietnam would be warmer. I knew Hubert could make the arrangements. So I begged and cajoled, and I nudged. And finally, he came through. I flew for 33 hours from Chicago to Travis Air Force Base and then on to Honolulu. And then Wake Island, Guam, Manila. And finally, we landed outside Saigon on May 17th, 1967. For 10 days, I went to the field hospitals, Saigon, Quy Nhon, Cam Ranh Bay, 10, 12, 13 hours a day. Well, I didn't care how long. I visited every single bed in every single ward. I took care to look my best. You know, for the boys, you know, you can joke that my hair is a helmet, but this bouffant made it through 2 weeks in Vietnam intact. I thought maybe it's been a long time since these guys have smelled perfume. I gave them each a smile, and I took a hand and I held it for a while, and I listened. And if there was no hand for me to hold, well, I still smiled, touched a forehead. Well, hello, Steve. Hi, Gary. Nice to meet you, Joe. Ann Landers, for real? Yes, but you can call me Epi. Oh, wow. My mom reads you every day. And where does she live? Oh, it must be pretty there this time of year. Is there anyone you'd like me to call for you when I get back home? Yes. Yes, I'll really call. Promise. Well, let me write down the number. And what can I tell them for you? What's that again? Yes, that's perfume. Careful, fella. I might be dangerous. Drop me a line, will you? I love getting letters. Let me know how you're doing. God bless. I kept my promise. I wasn't back half a day before I started making those phone calls. Mothers, fathers, wives, children, girlfriends, best buddies, grandparents. Hello, is this Betty? This is Ann Landers calling. Norman? Mrs. Jackson. I was over in Vietnam. Oh, Stanley's up on crutches, doing fine. Will you send Chuck a picture of the new cabin? The way Dave grinned when he talked about that dog, his Corvette, Sundays. Oh, that boy really loves you, kitten. I just know you'll be very happy together. Over 2,500 calls. I'd say two good things about Richard Nixon. And frankly, I can think of only two good things to say about Richard Nixon. One, he did finally bring our troops home from that mess. And two, he resigned. I never put a word about my trip to Vietnam in the column. I mean, it just didn't feel right. But I'll never, ever forget. Thank you.
Jean. Jeannie. Yeah. You're amazing. Thank you. That was awesome. And I love the hairdo. I love the new hairdo. It's fantastic. I dare you to walk through Vashon Town with that hair. I have a special place in my heart for Ms. Juliette Prudhomme. I went to college with her in Bennington, Vermont, many years ago when we were wee little lads. I lived with her in London, England, where we were scene partners year after year. Our teachers made us scene partners. I know her like a sister. I love her like a sister. She is a formidable actress and one of the only actors that I remember from college that still is an actor. You can see her on TV, you can see her on the stage, you can see her everywhere. And Julia is quite a jewel. And we call her Jules. That's what we call her because she is quite a jewel. Now, she's going to do I begged her to do this scene from a play from a girlfriend of mine that I married many years ago for her green card because she was a wonderful writer and performer in the Seattle scene back in the 90s. And by the way, I moved to Seattle because of Julia Prudhomme. I came to visit her once. I saw her at Annex Theater and saw her plays. And I'm like, I'm moving to this city. I love it here. So it's because of Julia Prudhomme that I'm actually now back here on Vashon Island. But she did this play. She stood in for Kia Shan, who was an actress in a play that she wrote under the name of Aviva Jane Carlin. and Kia had something to do one week, or she couldn't make it one month. I forget what the story was. Doesn't matter, but she asked me, who can possibly play this part? And of course, Julia could play the part. So Julia's career has spanned across the cities of Seattle, New York City, Los Angeles, London. She's appeared in a handful of television shows and movies as well. Yeah, a lot of television and movies, by the way. But by the way, if you wanted to check out her long list of credits, just go to her IMDb page, Julia Prudhomme with a slash in the middle of the D and the H at IMDb, and you'll see her long list of credits. Jodie's Body is the play that she's performing from. It's the story of Jodie. She's a white, liberal South African woman who grew up in the apartheid era. Currently, Jodie is working as a model for an art class in London. It's a few days after the historic South African elections that abolished apartheid. This one-woman show by Aviva Jane Carlin had a successful off-Broadway run in New York City and was nominated for a Drama Desk Award. Ladies and gentlemen, Julia Prudhomme as Jodie in Jodie's Body. Thank you.
Look. Look at them all fidgeting round. You'd think they'd get organised before I start, wouldn't you? When I first began this job, I decided that I was not going to take off the robe until people got all their stuff arranged. Because I felt a bit weird, you know, standing there, posed, with everybody busily sharpening pencils and squeezing out blobs of paint and completely ignoring me. Sometimes I'd get this scary feeling that somehow I had totally misunderstood the whole concept and that they were all just too embarrassed to ask me why I had taken my clothes off. So I'd wait. I'd wait until they were all quite ready and looking at me expectantly, and then I'd take off the robe and get into the pose. And then they'd all immediately start fiddling about again. So after a while, I realized it's no good. They just have to do a bit of fiddling about before they get going. It's a creative process kind of thing, or sometimes it's plain old work evasion tactics that accompany beginning every human endeavor. Or sometimes, especially for the first timers, you know, evening institute, that sort of thing, it's a way of kind of dissipating the tension of suddenly finding yourself in the room with a naked person. Because not everybody realizes what life drawing is, you see, when they sign up. Oh, I'd get some wonderful looks sometimes when I take off the robe, almost always immediately suppressed, of course. So, oh, naked, right? Okay. Well, don't worry about me. I'm sophisticated. Yeah, in fact, I'm bored. Naked woman in the middle of the room. What could be more boring? Oh, there they go. Oh, don't give me that little sigh, you. That's Sherman. He thinks he's in charge of the class while George is away. But actually, I am. So, tough luck, hard cheese. This is the pose. Get on with it. George. George is lovely. He's a terrific artist. He's got a huge temper, and he has a most original set of expletives based around the idea of Jesus performing mundane activities. There was that time that he, Sherman, suddenly announced to the whole class that he was going to paint my face on the other model's body. She goes, oh, George, I'm going to paint that one's face, that was me, on the other model's body, just so you know when you come around, all right? George goes, "Oh my God. What the bloody hell are you talking about? Just so I'll know. You think you can paint a total mutilation of what you see before you, and I might not notice? Jesus, put some shelves up. What kind of class do you think this is anyway? Bloody trick tabloid photography. Now, if you paint Jodie's face, you'll paint Jodie's body. And if you're too stupid to appreciate it, then paint the wall behind her and shut up. She just defrosted the fridge." George. He's away exhibiting at the Manchester Festival at the moment. I told you he was good. Many, many paintings of me are being gazed at by people from all over the world as we speak. I have this fantasy that Tuji is there with them. That's Tuji Lungiswa. She was Golden's eldest daughter. She was my best friend when I was little. She always wanted to be a dancer. And I have this fantasy that she's there in Manchester and she sees the paintings and she goes, "Goedman, that's Jodie." And then she finds George and she says, How can I get a hold of this model of yours, eh? She's my friend. From home. Oh well, it's not very likely. George, Ma still keeps in touch with Golden. If Tuji were coming to England, he would certainly tell her. He knows I'm here. Thank you.
I am unmuting everybody just so that we can, ladies and gentlemen, give it up tonight.
Oh, I'm sorry, he unmuted.
Lisa, Gabriel Dawson, Catherine McNeil, Michael Barker.
How do you want these cooked up?
Dean Mulready, Lucy Rogers, Tammy Blackway Joyce, and Yabuda.
Well, I didn't know if you wanted them to be vegan or not.
I'm hungry and grumpy.
Oh, somebody's hungry.
And I'm gonna try and find. So, how many tea lights do you think?
Somebody get Amanda.
All right. Thank you guys for coming tonight. We will be doing this again next month. If anybody has any playwrights, or if you want to act, or if you want to direct anything that you want to do, please, you know how to reach me, Chris Basha, Vashon Readers Theatre. We're on Facebook. And thank you again to Megan and Adam for allowing me to hang out here tonight in our empty restaurant. By the way, we are open again. We are open from 10 to 3, Thursdays through Sundays. Come on down, get your latte on, get some muffins, come on down. And we cannot wait for this all to be over with so that we can open up our stage again and have everybody here watching live music and plays. Thank you guys for joining us. Signing out, Vashon Readers Theatre. I love you all. Good night.
Thank you, Chris. Love you.
Yeah.
Thank you.